Hey, Gilbert, what are you doing? Tell us something. What is your best opening?
Yeah, what's your best opening for black?
The Catalan. In 6 moves. You've got the opening done, almost regardless of what black can play. But for those of you who really know me and know my favorite opening is the hippo.
Wow, thank you, Gilbert. That was very nice. What about you, Rafael?
Okay, Rafael, let's see what you got.
My favorite opening is the Smith-Morgan Gambit arising from the Sicilian game, which is e4, c5. The white attacks the center, black is going to take the free pawn, and then white offers up another pawn. If black accepts the gambits, boom, white takes back with the knight, and on move 4, white has a center, white has a pawn in the center, white has a knight out, while black has nothing. A lot of tactics end up arising from this gambits, so there's a lot of play for initiative, all for giving away the c pawn. Thank you.
The Smith-Morgan Gambit. Sacrificing the c-pawn won't help your future plays. I make my move to d5. You'll see the true power of this tactic.
But what if E takes D?
I will recapture with my queen after you develop your knight. I will play bishop to g4 and castle long. After that, then, and only then, sacrifice my queen for beautiful light square bishop. Checkmate. I think Roberto has a better opening for you. Let's check it out.
My favorite opening right now has been the Vienna. So it's a very simple opening that starts with e4, and usually if you get the e5, especially at my level, then I respond with knight c3, and that opens to very easy potential scholar mates, which is very cheesy, right? But most people, if they develop their knight, allows me to get the Vienna Gambit, which once they take, I can push that knight back, and it gives me a good control of the center. But that's one of my favorite openings right now.
I think Vienna is a very solid opening. You'd like to hear more?
No. Roberto's threatening a scholar mate.
Don't you worry about the scholar mate. Thomas has a remedy for that. Take it away, Thomas.
My favorite opening with white is playing d4, and if they respond d5, then I just play c4 and the queen's gambit. When I play with black and they play e4, I play the Sicilian defense. I normally play the okay Sicilian. When they play d4, I normally play the king singing. Those are my favorite openings.
The King's Gambit. Not bad, Thomas, not bad. Now let's see what Oskar can do.
Question: what's my favorite opening in chess? So for white, I would recommend the Grob g4 to confuzzle, to brainwash, to boggle their mind, boggle your opponent's mind, because they'll be confused, and there's some nice traps in there. Now for my favorite opening with white is the Jobava London system. It's like the London system, but with knight c3 instead of c3. I mean, it has some nice attacking possibilities, especially with the line with where your opponent's castle and you play g4. And I beat a 1700 in the over the board tournament with it. It's pretty nice. And there's also a trap where your opponent plays the King's Indian and you put your bishop to trade, and they don't refuse to trade. You push your pawn to h5, they take with the knight. You sacrifice the exchange, and then they don't realize it's checkmate. For black, it's the French defense, because it can be really sturdy, and especially it's good for new players, because you could easily win a pawn in the opening, in the advanced variation of the French. I think it's a really nice opening, especially for beginners. I think it'll really help them.
Thank you, Oskar. Great openings. The London system and the French. Very good. I think they're very good, very nice. I know a thing or two about defense. Roberto Ramirez, my friend, has something for us. Okay? Ciao, ciao.
All right, after a month training for over-the-board classical games, I decided to get back to my online blitz And I went up 86 points using this very simple setup with d4 and g3 specifically. And the idea is after g3, black could play d5, right? And you get into these positions. Or they could play g6, trying to get into a King's Indian defense. Now, this is the reason why I played g3 first. After bishop g2, bishop g7, e4, I transposed into a Pierce defense. So maybe my opponent plays King's Indian, but he doesn't play or doesn't like the Pierce defense. So after e4, after knight c3, there's no c4. So this is a King's pawn opening Pierce defense. And my plan is very simple. I like to bring the knight to from g to e2. Knight f3, you run into this pin on g4. I don't like it. So I just go to e2, followed by castling, then h3, preventing knight g4, bishop e3, queen d2. From here, bring the rook to the center. Bishop could go to h6, or you could even play f4. Very nice position. Now, what if instead they play pawn to d5? Well, we're going to do something I learned from Aronian. And when I came from Cuba,
I am not from Cuba.
Oh, I'm sorry. Where are you from?
I'm from Hialeah.
I didn't play for a long time. When I started to play again, I used to play the King's Indian attack, and sometimes I would play g3, right? They transposed bishop g to e2. We simply get into what I like to call the lazy Catalan. Lazy Catalan because I never played c4, so I don't have to memorize what to do if they accept the gambit and things like that, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I castled, and then what I like to do is knight b to d2. Let's say they go knight b to d7, rook to e1, and then after, let's say, b6, in the Catalan, I always told my students, hey, you could just play c4 now. And if they take, you don't have to wait to recapture. You could do it right away, right? Well, the reason why I put the rook on e1 is because I want to break on e4. And my opponent is always happy to go for it because they're going to gain a tempo. So after rook e4, they go knight f6. I need to move the rook again. And then after bishop b7, you could go bishop f4, or you could go c3 first. It doesn't matter. Now you're fighting for the e5 square. You get a very nice position, and you can see on my chess.com account for the last month, this is all I've played. I went up 86 points in rating. I think I have like a 60-something% win rate with the white pieces. If you don't like these quiet setups, I understand, but if you do, have fun with it.
My favorites like Duru Lopez or the Sicilian, because
my favorite opening trap for white. You start off by playing the bishop's opening, and after that you play standard opening moves, but then all of a sudden you turn it.
What is my favorite opening in chess? And I would have to go with the Catalan.
So the Sicilian, your favorite opening. I moved the pawn one square too many, I'm sorry.